Don in London, hello. It's the 12th of November. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My addictive substance was alcohol. My behaviour also around people, places, things, work, relationships, you name it. I was trying to be perfect all my life, and I never knew I was trying to do that. I just thought I was trying to fit in, be a part of. Convivial, joyful, happy, and not show the other part of me. The sadness, dislikes, hates, all that stuff which I didn't like about myself. I didn't like some of my natural feelings about life. They were distasteful to me, and I thought showed me in a bad light. I often saw people getting angry, enraged by life, and that started in the home, and also around me at school in my younger days. And it was around this time that I took my first drink. Casually, on a holiday, family holiday. It was on the table, I drank it, alcohol, schnapps, and immediately I felt happy. It was a strange feeling. I didn't feel sick, I didn't feel that this was a liquid I should avoid. I just took that drink and it fixed the way I felt. I felt like I belonged somewhere. So from the very first drink, some goodness knows how many years ago, a long time ago, the very first drink of alcohol did the damage. It helped me settle down, I thought, into enjoying what was going on around me. What I didn't realise was it was taking away feelings that were natural, and I never really then on developed my natural feelings, be they good or bad. However you feel they are, feelings are real. So drink fixed my feelings. It helped me behave happily, joyfully, as life was. And then when life got sad, it helped me fix myself in my sadness. Not natural, not necessarily the best way to approach life. Always fixing, taking the edge off, in one way or another, without really truly getting to understand my nature and how natural it was. So extremes, really, fixing on anything, people, places and things. Right work, right relationship. Right work was often, can you do this? I want you to do this. And I would say yes, to please them, and then wonder how to do it, and ask the right girl out in the right time, in the right place, all going swimmingly until I wasn't sure of me or anything. And then starting over with new work, new relationships, new things, trying and trying. So going against my nature, in fact not actually knowing what my nature was. And my natural inclinations are to love, be loved and useful. Simple as that. But I didn't understand that simplicity, nor did I understand how to say no, I don't feel like that, or no, just simply no, it's not right for me. And even now I struggle from time to time, wondering what is right. The conflicts are always there. But I'm sober today, and have been for a while, but I know that my sobriety is only as good as it is right now. So what helps me keep sober? Well, I'm very lucky. Professionals kept me alive long enough simply to find out how to get sober. And sober for me means emotionally and spiritually well. It doesn't mean it's going to be all happy. Well-being, or just being well, means I can experience all the feelings that are open to a human being, given the experience of what is going on now. So professional people got me dry, and then I had to work on sobriety. And they said, we can't help you 24/7, nor be available 7 days a week. You need some other sort of support. And maybe the answer is to go to a fellowship. And that fellowship turned out to be Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm very fortunate, because although the first few attempts at AA, or trying to go there and sort out what I could do next, were not very good. I ran away at first thinking, I don't want to give up drink, it's the only thing which makes life worthwhile. through to drink is killing me yet again and I cannot stop. So being dry was part of it. Medical people got me to be dry, and then the experience of going to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I never speak for AA, can't, won't, but I can share about how it impacts on my life. And that's the way it is. I don't speak for people, I speak for myself, and I don't speak for fellowship because it's full of unique, authentic people living one day at a time and sharing with each other what's working and what's not working. And anonymity affords people to find out the truth of who they are now and how they can deal with life one day at a time. So it's very important. I don't represent AA, I don't represent any other individual who may be associated with fellowship, but I can share in a general way about what's working for me today. So I feel very fortunate. November the 11th, Remembrance Weekend for the wars that have been fought on behalf of the United Kingdom and the Empire as it was. And I shared about my dad yesterday and how it impacted on him as a serviceman, and the places around the world where he did what he needed to do. Still don't know exactly what he did. He was not too forthcoming about that. Horror and tragedy are not something that was ever talked about in my family to any great extent, and it was only the horror and tragedy of my dad's death early from overindulging in alcohol and probably cigarettes as well that shortened his life, and his life was not good in many respects. But he did love people, even though he found it extraordinarily hard to share about it. So what I've learned in recovery, and I'm very grateful to my dad, I did get to see him at the end when he wasn't drunk or under the influence of anything, except maybe he was under the influence of acceptance of where life was and how short it was going to be, just a few weeks. And I did ask him, why have you given up drinking cigarettes? His simple answer was, I've got nothing to fear anymore. I don't need to fix me. I just need to tell you how it is. And he did. And what he said was how much he cherished people, loved them, never showed it, and often treated people, or they felt probably, with superficiality and indifference. And I learned a lot of that. Don't show the depth of your love for another human being just in case they reject you. So there's nothing wrong with loving people, there's nothing wrong with unconditional love, there's nothing wrong with natural desires, as long as we understand where we are with that, and that sometimes it can be mismatched, or it doesn't happen as a two-way street, and that's perfectly okay, and we can be sad about it, but we learn to live with it. So life goes on, no matter what's occurring, and if we can be emotionally in the moment of now, then that's all well and good. And the fellowship of AA is an emotional, spiritual fellowship, knowing how we feel in the moment of now, emotional, feelings, spiritual, coping with reality, and knowing that always life is difficult. So I share how AA helps me and the basic toolkit of the steps and traditions of AA and what's going on in my life as best I can, without compromising anybody else's life. So I have all the credentials needed. I couldn't stop drinking. At first I didn't have a desire to stop drinking. That's quite important, because if we have no desire to do something, we won't do it. And if we think we still can do it on willpower, give up drinking and make life work, we will. Some people do, but I couldn't do it on my own. So I'm speaking for me, not for anyone else. I share here the AA preamble on this little card. I read it out rather than recite it, namely because if I try and recite it, I'll probably get it wrong. But I read it out because then I know what I'm talking about, and I put a couple of additions in. Then I have a daily reflection from the AA literature, and then some thoughts and feelings from me. So the AA preamble is this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other. That is, we share what's going on, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. And it says recover from alcoholism. Well, I know I'm in recovery one day at a time, so whatever you want to call yourself, recovered, recovering, or whatever, if you're not drinking one day at a time, we can say we are in recovery. Truth, we are in recovery. We're not drinking, and we're sharing our experience, strength and hope. We don't have to share it, we just do what we do as if it's natural to us. So you don't have to bend yourself to fit. You just find out how to fit in society, community and life again. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. And as I say, when I first went I had no desire to stop. You were asking, the fellowship that is, was asking me to give up my best friend, the completely reliable fix that would cope with anything, from feeling life, highs and lows at extremes, to just getting oblivion from the very depths of despair and desolation, and being heartbroken that my life wasn't working anymore. So only a desire to stop drinking. So there are no rules, laws or regulations to bind you to a set path. What we want is freedom to find the path which suits us and helps us be a part of life again. And that's a simple journey for each person, and it's different for each person. The only similarity we have, it's better done sober, we feel. So no laws, regulations or rules to violate, but we do violate each other's sensibilities with our outlook, and I'll speak more on that in a moment. There are no dues or fees for AA membership, so it's free, but we are self-supporting through our own contributions, no outside sources. If we've got a bit of money to put in the hat, we do, to pay for tea, coffee, biscuits, rent and some admin and literature, and just enough, not more than that. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. But, and this is why other people's sensibilities can be violated, we all have our views and outlooks, perceptions, understandings, connections to institutions and anything outside to do with politics and religion and anything else, education, community, sport, you name it, we belong to it, but not all of us, to all the things. We have our preferences. So when we share our experience, strength and hope, sometimes we can be forceful in our argument and beliefs, and that's where people may feel the imposition and feel violated in some way. Their sensibilities are violated. So we always say, look at the similarities and not the differences. So sensibilities can cause us problems, and what we judge others to be doing with their lives, or other people judging us and imposing their views on us. Well, we'll get that all the time. But in fellowship, we have the right to be whoever we want to be and make a stand for what is right for us. So we adopt how to deal with sober and the similarities, and hopefully accept diversity and difference. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to follow our primary purpose. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So when I really understood the AA preamble, it stopped me feeling like somebody was trying to impose their life on me. I needed to find out who I was, what I could do, what I stood for, what was good for me. So there are 12 steps, the toolkit, to find out the truth of who I am on a daily basis. And for me it forms around truth, love and wisdom, and some call that God, and some call that good conscience. So whatever you believe is right for you. For me, God, this is the way I can understand it. God is truth. Truth comes from the universe, and all I have is opinion and belief based on what I know. So I don't believe the earth goes round the sun goes round the earth. I don't believe the earth is flat. I don't believe in superstition so much as I believe in truth. Truth is spiritual. it's the connection to reality and coping with it. So for me, an emotional spiritual program, knowing my feelings, how am I feeling, why, and what can I do? And the spiritual is seeing and coping and living reality. So everything is spiritual. The quality of the spiritual experience is down to how truthful I am with it and can see it. So for me, God is truth, love and wisdom, very practical, straightforward, and is not affiliated to a particular sect. But it may not be enough in some ways for some people. It may be too much for other people. We all find where we fit emotionally and spiritually. And whatever else you believe in is perfectly right for you, so long as, I guess, it doesn't harm others, and is based on the fundamentals of the Human Rights Act of the Article 1 of the United Nations, where all men are equal and have the right to follow their path, whatever it may be, without harm or hindrance to others, or pushing themselves on others. And that's one of the things in fellowship which is really important. We don't do that, or if we are doing it unintentionally, somebody will tell us to bugger off, quite rightly, and get off my cloud, as Mick Jagger said. Anyway, daily reflections for today from this book. Daily reflections covers the 12 steps, the toolkit for a person to be open, honest and willing to find the truth of now and feel right, or feel life as it is, and the 12 traditions which are about unity, service and recovery, to keep fellowship healthy and open to everyone, with a desire to stop drinking. Simple as that. That's all you have to have, a desire to stop in the end, or an absolute need to in my case, but not wanting to. So needs met. I need to get sober, but I don't want to be. I have to put the wants to one side and then see what I can do. And what I've learned is a drink won't fix anything, and it's been a while since I had one. So, daily reflections for today, based on the book. Morning thoughts. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick, or the man or woman who is still under the influence of alcohol. Under the influence just simply means cannot stop, don't want to stop, may have a need for stopping. For many years I pondered over God's will for me, and if I take that in the context of truth, love and wisdom, truth of now, how to love people and be loved back without conditions, and keep on learning wisdom from life. I pondered over God's will or good conscience for me, believing that perhaps a great destiny had been ordained for my life. And truthfully, I think we all feel that way when we're young, that there is a meaning behind it. And as people are often seen struggling for fame, or they're placed in the history books as celebrity or whatever, it can be a very contentious way of living, rather than just living life and enjoying it. After all, if you have just a history to look forward to, that is, people will know you from your death, it's not much bloody use to you if you're dead. After all, having been born into a specific faith in the case of this person, hadn't I been told early that I was chosen? It finally occurred to me, as I considered the above passage, that God's will for me was simply that I practice step 12 on a daily basis. Furthermore, I realised I should do this to the best of my ability. I soon learned that the practice aids in keeping my life in the context of the day at hand. So it's about living in the moment. And step 12, it's quite a big sentence actually. We haven't got there in my daily reflections, that's for December, but it says, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these 12 steps. And for me, the spiritual awakening is about living in the moment of now and coping with it, helping people. We try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So the 12-step toolkit is about putting it into practice on a daily basis in everything we do. It's not just about going to a meeting and being loving towards each other in the meeting. It's actually taking this practice into real life. 12th step is about a bridge to modern life, modern living, back in the world of now, coping with it, feeling the feelings and doing the action which is right for us in that moment. But taking into consideration the consequences of our actions. It's very important. So my thoughts this morning, based on that, don't forget, there's no point in doing something which only works 1 hour a day, or when you're separate from other people, because life is about living. So if these 12 steps didn't work in real life, I wouldn't be doing them, or practicing these principles of living in all that I do. So a couple of thoughts this morning. The problem we have with wisdom, where do we get wisdom from? If it was not invented here in my head through experience, can I learn from other sources? And for me, we can share experience, strength and hope, which is what we do in fellowship, about sobriety. Then we learn what we can do and cannot do, and the wisdom to know the difference based on life, action and reality. So there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom is learned through doing, I feel. That's my feeling about it. So when I talk about the serenity prayer at the end of my videos, which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change you, your attitudes or behaviour. Courage to change the things I can. I can change me, my attitudes and behaviour. And the wisdom to know the difference. Hits me in every moment where I need to interact with other people in real life. And generally, it's like the poppy lady. There's a lady outside Marks and Spencer's on the King's Road in Chelsea here. And she's been standing at the bus stop outside Marks and Spencer's for 2 weeks. And I have a running commentary because I often get my bread and cheese, if you like, without the wine, from Marks and Spencer's because it's fresh daily. Well, the bread is, sort of. That's why I had a mouse population increase in my flat, I suspect. That was the first evidence, the mouse in the loaf inside the wrapper, which almost gave me a heart attack. I mean, a mouse has no impact, has no idea of its impact on me, in my house, in my loaf of bread. Shocked me to death. I thought, it's been years since I had mice here. Anyway, at least one mouse had expired. The point is, though, then we learn what we can and cannot do, and the wisdom to know the difference is based on life, action and reality. So what did I do? I rang up the landlord, and the landlord provided a mouse man who put down poison. But I wasn't satisfied with that. I bought 4 mouse traps, baited them with the best of milk chocolate I could get my hands on, and the little buggers ate the chocolate off and didn't snap the traps. And then when the mouse man came back and put down the poison again, lo and behold, a couple of days later, 1 dead mouse. Where are the other ones? That's what I want to know. They're kicking about somewhere. So can do, can't do. I can be patient and see what happens with the official mouse man, or can put down mouse traps with chocolate in, and the little buggers take no notice, or have a way of spreading their little mouse feet wide, eating the chocolate without the snap of the mousetrap going down. Clever little sods. So I laughed at myself. Anyway, going on, this is more serious actually. Conflicting emotions, not really being sure about anything, is all part of life. We develop connections and bonds with many people as we open up to the world. And, you know, I'm a man who falls in love with women, and I'm really glad I do. But there are boundaries and understandings and flirtations and all manner of connections around friendship, fellowship, love, being loved back, and unconditional love, which is just is what it is. People don't have to do anything to be loved. They can just be a friend, a fellowship person, whatever it is. And to actually love men as brothers, a very difficult concept for me, because I never really understood how to love male friends, or didn't realise I did love them, but not in a sexual way. It just never occurred to me to develop those friendships. But when it comes to women, I'm always very careful, because I love women. I don't want to hurt them. They're to be cherished. That sounds very condescending, actually. No, it's not, because unconditional love is a two-way street. And the consequences of that are what they are. It's what actions we take, knowing where the boundaries are safe. And it's like in the fellowship, I have been asked by, on more than one occasion, by a woman to sponsor her. And a couple of years in, I thought, well, yes, of course I can do that. I can be detached, ignore my natural instincts to be attracted to them as a human being or as a female. And then after a couple of days, I thought better of it. I thought to myself, hang on, my natural desire is to be attracted to women. If I try to sponsor women and try for that detachment without supervision myself, which is what I used to have when I was doing counselling, I'm asking myself to go and push down my normal feelings, my normal natural feelings of attraction. So I then stopped the idea of sponsoring and said, natural desires get in the way of trying to help a person be sober. So sharing in a general way, in meetings, men and women together get on very well, and the normal human interactions continue. Also, depending on your sexual preference as well. You wouldn't naturally go and try and find a sponsor you're attracted to physically and emotionally in a relationship sense. Why? Because it will get in the way of being sober. Sober comes first, and then the rest of life. What I've learned over the years is that you can fall in love with whomever you choose once you're on the sober path. And it is said to give it a year or so before you get involved. Try and keep a plant alive for a year, I think some people used to say. But you're never ready or not for a relationship. You may not be ready for the consequences of love, affection, intimacy, and where that might lead if it all goes wrong, and how to keep sober afterwards or during. And to have an equal relationship where the feeling is mutual, and mutuality and understanding by sharing truth and love happens. So we have to rebuild, reconstruct and relearn, or even in my case learn for the first time really and truly what it means to be unconditionally loving. And don't try and go outside my natural instincts and desires. At extremes they are not right, but balanced natural desires and instincts are quite right. It's the actions which follow and the consequences which can cause problems. And we don't want, I hope, codependency, which is where another person has power over me or I have power over them. I need equal, where control can shift depending on what is going on. As in a healthy relationship, if somebody's driving the car, you don't try and pull the steering wheel towards you. If that makes any sense, I hope it does. Natural, equalising, normal. As if there is any normal. We find normal as we go along. What is right for us and what is right for the people around us. But we don't impose our will, our ideas. We don't try and make a person like us or try and control them. Powerless over people, places and things is preferred by me. But I can tell the truth of how I am and how I feel. Attraction, whatever it is. To be with, to be included, to love, to be useful. Find the truth of what's going on. That's all part of life. And it's been on my mind for a bit, because my concern is to be in harmony as much as is possible with everyone I know, and the boundaries or whatever, wherever they are, the understandings are there. Yeah, so conflicting emotions, not really being sure about anything, is all part of life. And denial of upset, denial of not being right about it, or simply not being able to make sense of love, our desires, and all the real truth of life is what makes reality worthwhile. Reality is where I prefer to be, and sometimes I don't know what it is until I keep on asking and things develop. We get to an understanding of where we are. And this is something I shared with a friend. What I need from you is simple truth as it unfolds. A relationship based on truth is spiritual. Coping with reality, living reality, understanding it can feel upsetting and conflicting. A relationship based on truth is spiritual. And truth is the spiritual foundation of life for me. So knowing what is going on, whenever my relationships failed in the past, it was based on not telling each other the truth. Even if we didn't know what it was, we could start with, I don't know where we are with this, but there's something going on here, and it's okay. But some of it may not be okay, because it's going to cause an unfair obligation, one way or another, or unequal ground, where we don't find balance. But we don't know that until you start talking. The conflict which upsets most is denial of the truth and trying to make the world different from what it is and who we are. So if we continue to find out who we are on a daily basis and what is the truth of now, life goes on, and we can be understanding, agreeable, forgiving, in conflict or upset, because that's just the way we feel. That's just perfectly okay. But we don't throw people away. And I guess once we get to a situation in my young life where I never really understood how to argue or be upset and still love a person, it was very difficult because we just parted ways. Or we never got to that because it was just superficial, a casual encounter with pretty much no love and a lot of lust. I remember it well. It was a long time ago, but I do remember it well. And so, as the days unfold, we find the truth and we get to know more about who we are. We find ways to be ourselves in this wonderful and ever-evolving existence. And those are my thoughts this morning. We find ways to be ourselves in this wonderful and ever-evolving existence. And what happened to me when I got so unable to cope with life, I drank myself almost to death, got revived a few times. We can go into war stories and tall stories. I mean, I've got war stories and tall stories, and as with any good exaggerating alcoholic, I can make them as tall as you like and as broad as you like, but the truth of now is what's most important, to live reality, because reality is the most provoking and wonderful place to be. It doesn't mean it's all loving and harmony. What it means is it's full of pitfalls. We trip up, we fall over, we pick ourselves up, and we do start all over again. And we can start again any time of day, or just for today. Whatever is going on, we can wind ourselves back in, if you like, and say, hang on a minute, what's the truth of now? What can I do? Change me, my attitudes, and understand the situation better. But I can't change you, your understanding, or what you're going to do next. Maybe I need move back a bit, give you breathing room, or give myself breathing room to settle down from my anger and resentment about something which may happen. After all, if somebody walks along and punches me on the nose, my natural reaction is wave them up and punch them back, or ouch. I wonder why that happens. But certainly get in the defence position so that if another blow is coming my way out of the blue, it doesn't have to land so heavily. And that applies in terms of feelings and thoughts and what people say without realising just how hurtful or not aware they are. We learn. That's life. M. Scott Peck, the well-known chain-smoking gin-sodden philanderer who died at the age of 69, he wrote in the book Road Less Travelled, first sentence, life is difficult. And then he went on to explain for several hundred pages, life is difficult, but if we actually accept that life is difficult, we can get on with it. And I guess what's happened for me, very obvious statements like that are true, although I would argue with them and say, no, it needs to be my way. With the 12 steps, my 12 principles, the toolkit of AA, I can normally let go my opinions and belief to find the truth. and then wonder what to do emotionally, with hoping my feelings fit what's happening now, and the whole load from the past don't come travelling down the tracks at me and other people. Just deal with what's now, coping with reality. So that's the greatest gift I've got from it all, apart from fellowship of many people and deep and loving friendships around me. What a beautiful thing to happen, just for today. So the Serenity Prayer, which I've mentioned already, always helps me in the moment when that punch is coming my way. Duck first, stand back, take care. So, to God or in good conscience, whichever belief system works for you. You don't have to join in with somebody else's belief system. But the Serenity Prayer or meditation, to God or good conscience, works for me. So I share it at the end. And it's shared at the end of every meeting of AA I know. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. For me, always in the imperfectly perfect moment, and just for today.